What's up, everybody? I am Slash Arbiter here, entering as the surprise third entrant in the R4 race alongside Thrasher DBS and Loves to Be Glued. This game has several different racing teams. All three of us are going to be competing on a different team. I'm, in particular, going to be part of Pack Racing Club for this race, which each team is a different difficulty setting, basically, as well as you have different manufacturers to choose from. I am choosing Assoluto, which is the drift team. And so, basically, we're going to jump right into race number one, being Helter Skelter. And so, in these first races, you want to take third place or better. And a perfect rocket start for me right off rip. And unfortunately, I missed the boost push there, which is okay. But basically, if you get in front of if you successfully execute a rocket boost in the first handful of races, you can actually get in front of the car directly in front of you early and get them to push you a little bit faster than you can actually drive. I'd even say significantly faster. But all good, no run enders there for me. So ideally, you really want to take first place in every race because you get better cars the more you place first in this game throughout the 8 races. So as I was saying, those first couple of races you want to get third place or better. Ideally, you take first. The second set of 2 races, you need to get second place or better, and then for the last 4 races all in a row, you need to win all 4 of those, which, again, having better cars in each of those races is going to make that a lot, it's, on one hand, it's going to make it easier because you're going to be going faster. On the other hand, your opponent's cars will be sped up to match, but it's also just makes it for a much faster run. So coming up on our second lap here, we're in second place. Should be an easy first place win. So I got into running this game just about a week ago from today, during one of the Rixer's weekly PlayStation races. This was the game of choice, and I ended up really enjoying it. I knew I would, but it was like a lot more than I expected to. I didn't really think it was going to become like a main game of mine, but through doing the run, I found, hey, this game's a lot of fun. So I've kind of been laying down some runs, and when I heard that Thrasher and Glue were going to race it, I said, well, hey, how would you feel about a third entrant? So here I am, rock you like a hurricane. And pretty easy first place win for this race. And we're just going to mash through all these little cutscenes and such. The story in this game is pretty cool, but we're not really interested in that as speedrunners. And no soap operas. Let's see if I can get another rocket start. No such luck there. It's all good, though. Still should be pretty easy to claim first place. It's just a nice boost to your start if you get one of those. I will say that there is a pretty significant, I wouldn't say pretty significant, but there's definitely a jump in difficulty from the first track into this one. This one, you really need to learn how to use your drifts to your advantage and get around some of the tighter turns. Such as that one. And you'll actually see a lot of this track reprise later in the penultimate race. But for right now, we're just on Wonder Hill. as the funky horns come in. And this section can be a little bit deceptive with all these turn signs, but it's really, if you take the most optimal route, it's almost like you're just kind of going straight, really. This guy's really trying to shove me, but I'm not gonna let him. So this was kind of the first track that I struggled with myself when I was first playing through the game. Just a lot of these turns, especially, I think, are a little deceptive with the way the colors on the sides are and stuff. That also could just be my own vision being a little silly. It's a fun track, definitely. A little challenging, but not so bad. Definitely the less evil little brother of, like I said, that penultimate track, Heaven and Hell, which we'll see later on. That one is like the evil twin. This is the mischievous twin. Again, maybe we can get a slightly better route through these little twisty turns. Yeah, that was much better. Took a lot of them more just head on straight through rather than kind of weaving like I did in the first lap. As we cross the line in first once again, and we will be getting our first new car once we get through the menu here. And something that is crucial to remember is to not keep mashing start there so you don't accidentally go into the save menu. Obviously a useful tool for the casual player, but for us that's just going to waste some time if we go there. So moving on to the third track, Edge of the Earth. Which those saves come in after races 2, 4, and 7, and a pretty decent rocket start there. Got myself up into, I think, 4th gear, so pretty happy with that, definitely. The first new car you get will have 5 gears as opposed to 4, which is something that I didn't realize the very first time I was playing through this game, so I was basically driving a nerfed car for no reason. This track definitely has some of the tighter turns that you have to figure. This is where you really have to learn how to kick in your drift. I would say Wonder Hill is where you like want to learn the mechanic. This is where you really need to like get a good grasp on it, because some of these turns are really really brutal, and there's some fake outs too. There's some that definitely look a lot tighter than they really are that you can take without doing a drift. I'd say like that one. That one's a pretty easy one to mistake for needing to drift, but then if you do, more often than not, you'll just wind up going straight into that wall. And not to mention, anytime you drift, you are going to be losing speed. So, in general, really, you want to be doing it as little as possible, but there are just turns where you can't avoid it. That tunnel is really good for overtaking AI if you're close to them, because they don't like to take that straight line through the wide turn that I took there. So it's really useful for taking them there. Unfortunately, I just had a little side swipe with the wall there, but no biggie. We're right back up to speed. And this race is where you go from having 2 laps per race to having 3, which is good in the sense that you have a little bit more time to catch up if you do struggle in your first lap. I'm really surprised that did not count as me sideswiping the wall there. Definitely thankful, though. Not complaining. Unsuccessfully tried to thread the needle there, but should be able to overtake right here. Oh, and he's defending pretty well. But we'll take him right here at the turn. And you'll also see some of the environment for this track reprised during the final heat in Brightest Night, Thrasher's favorite track. I'm pretty fond of that one too, but I think the next track might be my favorite out of Blue. I just really like the vibe of it. And unfortunately, I did drift at a turn there that it's not really optimal to do so, but I just had to course correct myself a bit. Not the worst thing that could happen. It's always better to course correct with a drift than it is to hit the wall. You will lose much more speed hitting a wall. This game is very unforgiving for would-be wall riders. And we'll be moving on to Out of Blue, which you'll recognize some of the layout from the very first track, Helter Skelter. Particularly some of the early and later portions of the track. And another pretty decent rocket start there. Immediately shooting up to 7th place. This one has some really challenging turns that you have to take a lot earlier than you might think you have to. Which you'll see one of those turns coming up here in a moment. And as you can see there, I mistimed it pretty severely, but it's okay. We should still have plenty of time to catch up. Because, as I said before, we actually have 3 laps for these instead of only 2, so 2 laps to take 3 more places really is a pretty good amount of time, I would say, for this track. That turn's also a little bit deceptive, I think. At least for me, it is. There is also a deceptive turn coming up here after the tunnels, I would say. One that looks like it might be a drift, but it's more of a fake out. So, something about this game is that the controller input... Namco released a controller for the PlayStation 1 called the Negicon. Basically, this controller operated by twisting towards you and away from you. And they basically wanted to sell more of those controllers, so they actually implemented basically a pretty early pay-to-win scheme in this game. The Negicon, I believe, makes you drive faster, or it makes turns easier to take. And so, what's really neat is with emulators, with the advent of emulators, you can basically tell the game, hey, I'm using a Negicon, even if you're not actually, which is really nice because the leaderboards for this game are actually on a, they allow you to use sped up loads, and they actually have the leaderboards separated by emulator and console times, too, which is a pretty good choice, in my opinion. And so, as promised, you will see me remember not to save here, as we'll move on to a track which I honestly actually enjoy, Phantom Mile. We will be getting another new car, seeing as we have placed first in each race so far. Track frequently known as Small Track, as it is a pretty small track. Okay, rocket boost into third. And this car now you will have 6 gears rather than 5. And the turns on this one are a little bit tricky to hit sometimes. There's 2 that you really need to kind of drift it through, but really enjoy the music on this track, one of my favorites. Probably my second favorite track in the game. Trying my best to defend right there, because he was still lurking right behind me. And that's why we call it Small Track. Pretty quick little race, but very fun one nonetheless. And now we will move on to Brightest Night, which will take us back to the streets of New York, like we were at for Edge of the Earth. And the music for this one slaps too. I'd say that these last few tracks all have like bangers for songs. Missed the rocket start that time. All good, we'll make up for it. As you can see, this beginning is very similar, but you will see very quickly that it will deviate. As we move on to this kind of tiled road section here. Oh. The car decided to have a little moment of uncooperativeness there, but it's all good. And as I was saying back at the start of the run, this is the start of the section where you have to win each race. There is no losing from here on out. You have to take first place in every single race. Which on this one isn't such a big ask, but you'll see on the next track, Heaven and Hell, it can get a little tight sometimes. Fuck. Alright, glad that one is done, because behind the scenes here, something just popped up on my computer that was blocking my view. That's why I had a few little silly accidents there, but no biggie, we're through it. Now on to Heaven and Hell, or as I have dubbed it, Kevin and Smell. Our two favorite local rock station radio hosts. This is my favorite song in the game. It's been stuck in my head for several days now. And a good rocket start, starting me off right in 7th place, which on this track is definitely valuable. And you'll see the return of a lot of sections from Wonder Hill here. This is definitely the hardest race in the run. I can definitely say from experience, there is a reason it is Heaven and Hell, because it will definitely some days put you through that second word. But it's okay, because every time I hear this song, I'm sent to heaven. Especially coming up these organ parts. Oh my gosh. That turn right there, that is the make or break point of this race, especially if you're coming up on it on your 3rd lap and you're kind of struggling for first. That turn will absolutely make or break your entire race and your entire run. Learning where to execute the drift on that turn is crucial to taking it. And it's really easy to miss time even when you've done some runs. There is one extremely precise angle that you can take to avoid having to drift it at all, but I have yet to master that myself. And cruising on up into first, hopefully giving ourselves enough time to get nice and ahead in case that turn gives us some trouble at the very end. We should be alright here. And the turn did give us a little bit of a wibble wobble, but we're all good. We have just finished Kevin and Smell. And now onto the final track, Shooting Hoops, which you get one last car here. And this is the fastest car you will get in the run. And also, this track ain't no brakes. I just accidentally saved. We'll just real quick exit out of there. Sometimes I forget to take my own advice. And the really cool thing about this race is, as you can see, it takes place on December 31st at 11:45. In my head, I like to imagine that right when you cross the finish line is the minute it hits midnight and it's the new year. So as I was saying, yeah, no brakes on this track. You don't want to hit the brakes whatsoever. You don't want to hit any walls. You need all the speed you can get to win this race. It's 6 laps instead of 2 or 3, which is the only race in the game that'll be more than 3 laps at all. But as you can see, you definitely need all 6 laps in this race to successfully win, as it is, again, required to win to pass. And these turns, this car can turn really well, so all these turns you can take without having to drift at all. This track in particular is where that advantage I talked about with the Negicon turning really comes in handy. Unfortunately, I've just hit the wall, but I should be alright because I'm only on lap 3 here, so still have time to catch up, especially since I got that rocket start at the beginning. But yeah, these last turn coming up here that you see is really tight, even with the Negicon in mind. If you're playing on a DualShock, it's nigh impossible to hit that. As you can see, we're cruising right back up to where we left behind when we accidentally bonked on that wall. And we're being told to take care of this loser, which is... I love the announcer in this game. He's just on your side. Unfortunate little bonkage there, but again, we'll catch up. So a few unfortunate mishaps there, but nothing too major. And coming up is time. That is a GG and also a PB for me. So yeah, definitely a really fun game, a really cool run. Especially I get to see the difference between each team, between me and my two friends here. So thank you for taking the time to view this submission, and I will hopefully see you at USC.